Hello again guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are back for another top 10 list of the best Microsoft Flight Simulator Payware add-on aircraft. I had originally planned to make this video an annual event. As we saw back in January, I did cover my top 10 favourite aircraft there. But of course it's been a very exciting couple of months and the Microsoft Flight Simulator landscape has changed pretty drastically, with the likes of Phoenix, JustFlight, PMDG all bringing new aircraft into the sim. Of course, as with any of these types of lists, at the end of the day I will just be giving my personal opinions, but I have spent the last couple of years reviewing these add-ons, so I feel I'm fairly well placed to do so. Worth noting as well, I have tried to cover a range of different aircraft types as well as just going for quality. As a result, there are certainly add-ons that could have made it onto the list, but I've really gone for the best in class for the most part with each category. Anyway, ladies and gents, let's get the video properly underway and we'll start our top 10 countdown of what I consider to be the best Payware add-on aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So coming in at the number 10 spot is the FS Reborn Sting S4. Just before we cover the product itself, worth noting that it's always really hard to pick the number 10 spot. There are a ton of different aircraft that certainly could have made it onto the list. Some notable mentions that didn't quite make it onto my top 10 list but certainly could have done. The Wing 42 Boeing 247, that was very much in contention for my top 10 spot. The primary reason that I went for the Sting S4 over the Boeing 247 is that the 247 does still have a few bugs that need ironing out, and a few issues that do rather hamper my own personal enjoyment of the aircraft. As well as the Wing 42 Boeing 247, other products that easily could have made it into the number 10 spot include the High Performance Group H145 and the Mario Noriega C22J. The Sim Skunkworks F104 offerings are excellent as well, and the JustFlight Arrow family still some of the best single-engine GA aircraft available in the sim. Lastly, I do think that the Leonardo Mad Dog is certainly worth a mention. It's an excellent add-on, very high quality in terms of systems depth. Unfortunately though, I don't think it justifies a spot on the top 10 list, since the aircraft is a little bit dated in terms of the texturing and the sounds, and certainly the price is quite a bit heavier than most other products that we'll be looking at in our video today. Once again though, it is the FS Reborn Sting S4 that pinches the number 10 spot on my personal list. The aircraft is immaculately rendered both inside and out, the modelling and the texturing, as you can see for yourselves here, really nicely done. That's sort of what we've come to expect now really in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I would say that the Sting S4 is certainly above average in terms of its quality. I think the aircraft sounds really nice, although I've certainly heard mixed opinions on that front. Systems modelling is very solid, and the aircraft also comes with failure modelling as well as a persistent state. Again, we're starting to see that come into Microsoft Flight Simulator more and more, and I find that those sorts of features really elevate the experience within the sim. The aircraft can also be fitted out with the PMS GTN 750 or the TDS GTN XI, and that goes a long way towards improving the fidelity of the aircraft. I did bring up a few issues with the flight model during my review, but overall I still really enjoy flying the aircraft, and I think some of those issues came about as a result of Sim Update 9. As you'll have hopefully seen during my review of the aircraft, the S4 also comes with a working ballistic parachute. It's really nicely modelled, it's an excellent feature, and overall it really goes to demonstrate the level of quality and depth that's been given to the Sting S4. The product is a very comprehensive single-engine GA aircraft for the sim, and it's also priced very reasonably. It's great to see these smaller devs come into the sim and offering us some really great products at some very reasonable prices, and so again, for those reasons, I felt that the S4 was deserving of the number 10 spot. Number 9 on our leaderboard is the Flying Iron Simulations Supermarine Spitfire Mark 9. I must admit that the Flying Iron Spitfire has probably nudged its way up the list a little bit more here, given that it is a Spitfire. The Flying Iron Spitfire was the most beautiful add-on available for the sim at its time of release. We have of course subsequently seen many other add-ons that have come along that are every bit as good, but the Flying Iron Spit certainly at the time really set the bar in terms of visual quality. For those of you who have flown the aircraft, you'll know that it's an absolute joy to fly. It's a very evocative machine as well to operate within the sim, and it has a really great sound pack. As I say, the modelling and texturing of the aircraft really exquisite, particularly internally. The virtual cockpit of the Mark 9 still one of the better virtual cockpits within the sim. I think the add-on is very reasonably priced for what it is, and I'm sure that many of you will agree the fact that the aircraft is a Spitfire in and of itself makes the product a must-have. Worth mentioning that whilst the Flying Iron Simulations P38 didn't make it onto my own personal list, the aircraft is certainly every bit as good. I really can't praise Flying Iron Simulations highly enough for the quality of their output, and perhaps even more importantly, the team's dedication to follow-ups in terms of updates and developments to their products. Number 8 on my list is the FlySimware Cessna 414 Chancellor. Technically the Chancellor is still in early access at the moment, but nonetheless the Cessna 414 is still a really quality product. There are still one or two bugs that need ironing out, but FlySimware seem to have been regularly updating the aircraft. Graphically it's a very beautiful effort, again both internally and externally. I particularly like the cockpit of the Cessna 414. I really enjoy how the aircraft flies, it sounds very nice as well, and in fact FlySimware recently gave the aircraft an entirely new sound package. The Cessna 414 also has its own little niche in the sim currently. It's a very capable twin, fairly high speed and pretty capable of high altitudes. The system's depth is really good, we do have a couple of nice extra little features on the aircraft as well, and once again we can switch out some of the default avionics for either the PMS GTN 750 or the TDS GTN XI. The 414 is already a quality product, so I'm really interested to see what FlySimware managed to achieve once the product is fully complete. Coming in at number 7 on our leaderboard is the Milviz FG1D Corsair. The Milviz Corsair to this date I would say is still one of the most well-rounded products that we have available to us in the sim. In a somewhat similar fashion to the Flying Iron Spitfire, the Corsair released in a very nice state. Nonetheless, Milviz put out a huge and very comprehensive update to the aircraft some time ago. The update again making the aircraft very feature complete. The overall flight model is very nice and the Corsair is very quick to bite you should you mishandle the aircraft. The modelling is great, the texturing could be a little bit sharper, sounds again very nice overall. Systems depth is excellent, and really the icing on the cake, the Corsair comes with a whole host of features that we don't really see on too many other aircraft in the sim. Purchased outside of the marketplace, the Corsair has a whole host of options in terms of munitions, as well as a set of visually working 50 cal machine guns. Not to mention various failure modes on the aircraft, including the ability to empty the contents of one's engine oil supply over the canopy of the aircraft. Once again, the Corsair is very feature complete, it's a real beast of an aircraft to fly, and if only for that reason I think it's a really great add-on. Taking the number 6 spot is the SimWorks Studios Quest Kodiak. For a short while the Kodiak really set the bar in terms of what we could expect from the sim, and it's still one of the best single engine aircraft currently available for the platform. A really nice level of attention to detail, one of the better flight models as well within Microsoft Flight Simulator currently. SimWorks Studios, again another developer that seems to be very happy to update their products on a regular basis. And the Kodiak released in a very strong state, and it's really gone from strength to strength ever since. A beautiful visual model both internally and externally, again a really nice sound pack as well. As I just mentioned, one of the better flight models available currently in the sim, and some really nice additional touches. For example, we do get visible passenger models, visible cargo on board the aircraft, we get a number of variants of the Kodiak as well. The aircraft is incredibly versatile, very well suited to the sim, really great fun, and overall it's a top class effort from SimWorks Studios. Coming in at the number 5 spot is the PMDG DC-6. Still one of my own personal favourite aircraft in the sim, and actually for me I prefer the DC-6 over the 737. Again, one of the older products now available for the sim, but the first study level aircraft that we had in Microsoft Flight Simulator. The DC-6 still holds up very well, and whilst the texturing and the modelling isn't some of the best that we've seen in the sim to date, systems modelling is still right up there, the flight model very good as well. The aircraft is a real joy to operate, it sounds absolutely excellent, and it has a ton of character as well. There were a few lingering bugs throughout its lifespan that did take PMDG a little while to fix up, but they have patched up the aircraft again recently. Really for me the only reason that the DC-6 has been knocked down a peg or two off our leaderboard, whilst the aircraft does have random failures, there's no programmable failure option, and really we are starting to see that sort of thing now from some of the very best add-ons in the sim. Number 4 on our list, and I'm cheating a little bit here, but we have a joint JustFlight entry between the 146 Professional and the Hawk T1. The Hawk did actually make it to the number 1 position on my previous top 10 list, and I think that really goes to demonstrate the level of quality involved with the product. Both aircraft have many of the same strengths in terms of a beautiful internal and external model. The same goes with the texturing. I do feel that the Hawk has a slight edge there, just looking a little bit more photorealistic overall. Sounds are excellent on both aircraft. The internal sounds on the 146 absolutely top notch, recorded from the real world aircraft, and the external sounds on the Hawk some of the best we've heard in the sim without a doubt. Systems depth on both aircraft again excellent. I would say that they are broadly quote unquote study level. It would be nice to see some sort of failure system implemented with the 146, and the Hawk does have some limitations in terms of the munitions, but of course that's limited by the sim. Both packages also offer up a ton of variation. With the Hawk we get the Hawk T1, the T1A, as well as the Red Arrows variant of the aircraft, and with the 146 you get the 100 through to the 300 variant, also the 146 Statesman. As I mentioned during some of my JustFlight reviews, and indeed during this video, I think that JustFlight have really upped their game coming into Microsoft Flight Simulator. They've certainly raised the bar a number of times throughout this year. They aren't the only dev to have pushed the boundaries of what's actually possible in the sim, although they've certainly done so quite consistently. They've given us some really great aircraft over the last year or so. I really enjoy both of these aircraft, and for me they are some of the most entertaining products available in the sim. So in at our number 3 spot we have the PMDG 737. Here our list obviously starts to get into the more serious quote unquote study level territory. I know straight off the bat there's going to be a few people upset with me for putting the PMDG 737 in the number 3 spot, but I'll try and explain my reasons why. Overall the PMDG 737 is an excellent offering once again from PMDG. It's our first study level jet in the sim, and the aircraft does everything it was advertised to do. It certainly lives up to expectations. As usual with a PMDG product, systems modelling and fidelity is second to none. The aircraft sounds really nice, it flies rather nicely as well. It has a very comprehensive failure system which adds a ton of utility to the aircraft, and as I mentioned with the Sting S4, really goes to elevate the experience within the sim. Some of the texturing does look a little bit dated by modern standards, and that really brings me on to the crux of my argument as to why the PMDG 737 is in our number 3 spot. Again, overall the aircraft is an incredibly comprehensive and truly excellent offering for the sim. I think it's fair to say though that the 737 is more of an evolution over what we've seen previously, as opposed to a product that really revolutionises what we've seen in flight simulation. PMDG are planning some updated texturing, and the aircraft will also be getting an EFB at a later date. I really enjoyed the 737, and if you're a Boeing guy I can't recommend it highly enough. But for me at the moment there are just a couple of other add-ons out there that have really pushed the boundaries of what we've seen in Microsoft Flight Simulator. At number 2 we have the Milviz Cessna 310R. Again, I'm sure a couple of you might be a little bit upset that I put the Milviz Cessna 310 ahead of the PMDG 737, but for me the 310 has really pushed the boundaries of what we've seen available within the sim. It's one of the most comprehensive, feature complete and interesting add-ons that we've seen for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Of course, in terms of systems complexity the 310 doesn't come close to the PMDG 737, but what there is of the Cessna systems has been modelled very nicely by Milviz. As I mentioned during my review, the Milviz style of texturing isn't really to my own personal tastes, but nonetheless the aircraft is pretty immaculate in terms of both its modelling and texturing. Aircraft sounds are excellent, as is the flight model. I've spoken to a couple of real-world Cessna 310 pilots, and they seem to think the flight model of the add-on stacks up pretty well against the real aircraft. The single-engine behaviour is also really good. To be fair, in many respects there are plenty of other add-ons that stack up equally well against the Milviz Cessna 310. For me though, where the product really shines is all of the additional features that Milviz have chosen to give the add-on. The aircraft has an excellent failure system coupled up with a persistent state. You can choose whether or not to fly a brand new airframe, your own personalised airframe, or indeed set the aircraft up as if it was a rental hire. Alongside the failure modelling we also have a pretty decent maintenance system. And as with some of the other add-ons that we've looked at, we also have the option to add 3D passenger models, as well as various other fixtures and fittings. A fairly trivial detail in some respects, but Milviz have even gone to the trouble of modelling the aircraft accruing dirt over time. That's a new one for me, and I think it's certainly emblematic of the level of attention that Milviz have given to the aircraft. It would have been nice to have the option to program failures manually, but otherwise it's pretty hard to find too much to fault with the Milviz 310. Once again, I think it really pushes the scope of what we've seen achieved within Microsoft Flight Simulator. So, in at the number 1 spot, it is the Phoenix Airbus A320. Probably not a huge surprise to those of you who are familiar with the channel, and certainly those of you who saw my review of the aircraft. I am an Airbus guy by nature, but I promise that that has absolutely nothing to do with the aircraft's positioning here on our leaderboard. The Phoenix A320 is not perfect. I'm sure there are areas of the aircraft that need improvement. Personally though, I think that Phoenix have really demonstrated to all of us what we should be expecting from our add-on developers, and they've delivered a really solid, quality and very reasonably priced product. Texturing externally is great. Internally I would say that the texturing in the cockpit is second to none. The cabin's done very nicely as well. Modelling is much the same, and again a really exacting level of detail in the cockpit. As I mentioned during my review, just sitting and looking around the Phoenix Airbus A320 flight deck, you can really feel the ambience of a real-world Airbus aircraft. The flight model is very good. Again, as we discussed just a moment ago, there are some areas where the aircraft doesn't quite hit the numbers currently, but overall for me, in terms of how the aircraft actually physically feels to fly, again I think it's a very good effort from Phoenix, and the most representative fly-by-wire model that I've tried in any sim to date. The sounds are absolutely some of the best that we've seen from any add-on aircraft. Externally they're excellent, and again internally Phoenix has done a very good job of capturing that Airbus flight deck ambience. One of the areas where the 320 really shines is with its failure modelling system. The aircraft can have both random failures as well as programmable failures, and the aircraft essentially uses the ProSim software running in the background, so you have some very comprehensive modelling in terms of the ECAM and the overall aircraft systems. Again, there are some inaccuracies there, but the aircraft for me offers more than enough scope and depth to really get stuck into the Airbus and enjoy it in the sim. The product itself is of course the primary reason that I put the Phoenix A320 in the top spot, but there are also a couple of more ancillary reasons that I really felt Phoenix deserved the number 1 spot on this leaderboard. Firstly, it's pretty clear that as a development team, Phoenix have a really excellent attitude towards the whole project. There are numerous details throughout the product that really go above and beyond what we've seen from any other developer. For example, as we know, Microsoft Flight Simulator currently doesn't support working windscreen wipers, and no other dev has managed to achieve that in the sim. Phoenix could have easily sat on their hands for that one and would have been well within their rights to do so, but instead they went away and tried to figure out a workaround. As a result, the Airbus is now the only aircraft in the sim, at least that I'm aware of, that currently has functioning windscreen wipers. The same goes for the onboard EFB. Of course we've seen that from many developers within Microsoft Flight Simulator, but Phoenix has really gone above and beyond in terms of functionality. SimBrief and Navigraph integration within the tablet is truly excellent, and again a real cut above what we've seen from the competition. Further to that, at least from what I've seen, Phoenix themselves seem to be a very open developer. They were very upfront about the aircraft's flaws before it even released. They seem to be a very down-to-earth bunch of ladies and gents, and they seem to be very receptive as well towards feedback. All of this of course capped off with the fact that the product only retails at £50. I can't remember the last time I saw a quote-unquote study level aircraft selling at that sort of a price. As I mentioned during my review, I think that the Phoenix Airbus A320 offers some of the best value for money that I've ever had within flight simulation. So there you go guys, I hope you enjoyed my top 10 list of Payware add-on aircraft available for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Once again, ultimately all of what you've just seen is my opinion, and of course what you'll enjoy in the sim will ultimately depend on what sort of aircraft you're looking for. Again though, I have tried to be objective and also to focus on a wide range of different aircraft types. Whatever your personal top 10 might be, and again please feel free to leave such a list down in the comment section below. I think we can all agree that it has been a very exciting couple of months for the sim. Microsoft Flight Simulator has really gone from strength to strength with the likes of Phoenix and PMDG bringing us some really quality study level products. I think at this point, whilst there are still certainly improvements to be made to the core sim, we can certainly say that Microsoft Flight Simulator has moved beyond the game territory, and there is now plenty of options out there for more serious simmers amongst us. All of the add-ons that we featured in today's video are aircraft that I really enjoy flying myself, and it's generally a question of finding the time to actually enjoy each of them. It's really great to see some of the truly excellent efforts from some of our more established developers, and brilliant as well to see that Microsoft Flight Simulator seems to have encouraged a whole host of new development teams, bringing us some absolutely top quality products, again at some very reasonable prices. Once again, I do hope you enjoyed the video and found it to be of use. If you did, please consider giving the video a like. If you want to see more similar content, then please consider subscribing to the channel as well. As ever, a very big thank you to my channel members and patrons for all of your support, it's hugely appreciated. I do hope that all of you are having a great day wherever you are. Take really good care, and I will see you all again soon.